Recently, Mark from the Tesla Life joined me to discuss the $11,000 BYD Seagull, and you guys did not disappoint in the comments. Boy, did we get an earful. So we're back to address some of those comments. Mark from the Tesla Life is here. I'm Brian. Welcome to Future Raza. So yeah, you saw the comments. This video got 50,000+ views. We got a lot of love and a little bit of hate. A little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's all about, but we're here to answer your questions, burning and otherwise.
Brian, I just have to interrupt. The number
Yes.
one question or comment that we got was something unexpected.
Yes.
You had said something about this vehicle needs a rear wiper in North America.
Yeah.
And boy, were you wrong.
Oh, was I wrong? If only we would have time to address that, which we shall. So fortunately, I did want to say a quick thanks to Sagar, who recently got a Tesla Model Y. Congratulations. Thank you for using my referral link. That gives me supercharger miles I can use to go on adventures like the one I'm probably going on in a matter of days down to Fremont to take the factory tour, which I also bought with referral credits. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, I'll be maxing out this year. That'll be great. That'll be great. And then when I've got too many points left, what am I going to do with them? Buy shirts and give them away, I guess. And if you don't need a Tesla or you've already got one, you can help by subscribing, because only half my viewers are subscribed. If everybody subscribed, I'd be over 100,000 already. It would be very awesome. So let's work on that. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, I'm telling you. Except on X, where I do have a paid subscription. That's we're getting too far afield here. So yeah, I got about 5,000 questions about the rear windshield wiper, and I had it up here, but I'll just share this one and just give you the answer. Do you know why manufacturers don't put rear window wipers on sedans? My Hyundai SUV has one, but my Elantra does not. And this is the whole thing. It's about the shape of the window. It's about the shape. If you've got a nice swoopy slope where the air will drag the water off, you don't need one. But if you've got a steep cliff, you do. That's kind of it. So if you were to look at, for example, I just typed in hatchback rear end, and you'll see that all these hatchbacks have rear wipers, like all of them, because the windshield is so steep, you need one. Maybe this one, no, even it does.
Yeah, it all becomes a problem when that rear piece of glass is covered by dirt and grime that's not going to move because, of course, that reduces visibility and endangers you as the driver if you're never looking out the back, if it's covered in snow, ice, rain, or mud. It's something that is going to be a problem, and you should have some sort of device to be able to wipe that, especially when you're in traffic.
Especially so. Looking at the back of minivans, you'll see they all typically also have rear wipers because, the angle is too steep. And while the BYD Seagull doesn't, you can look at the BYD Dolphin and see that it does. Or is this no, this is the Dolphin, right? Yeah, the Dolphin, it has one. So it is my belief that they would probably want to add one if they were going to sell it in North America. It's not required. Visibility out the back entirely is not required. That's why things like cargo vans and U-Hauls are still road legal and don't require a special license. That's not crazy at all. So yeah, there's some room for that. So guys,
and let's face it, it's not a big expense. Yes, it is an expense, but it's not a big expense based on the price of this car. Putting this in as a safety feature would be well worth the cost of the unit being added, even with markup on top of it.
And this company that's doing the benchmarking, they're not trying to say BYD should sell this car here or BYD will sell it. They're looking at the whole package. They're looking at the type of metals they use, the type of fasteners and welds, all of it, to figure out what they don't care about that. I was just pointing out that there are a number of things that might need to be different. It was pointed out also in the comments that the safety issue that we raised was probably not apply. Now, while the Seagull hasn't been through Euro NCAP testing, many other BYDs have. The Atto, the Seal, there was another one. At least 3 models have been through, and they score very well. So I have absolute confidence that whatever they would sell would reach the standards of the market in which they intend to sell. So there's that.
I couldn't think of a worse scenario, introducing a brand new car to a market and realizing that it comes in subpar on the safety side. That's not something that's going to help you sell cars.
It is not. It is not. But let's get on to some positive stuff. Ford or GM should just become a distributor, rebadge it, mark it up. Is there a precedent for this? Do you know?
Yes, there is.
This
has happened time and time again. Even in a number of different lights. For example, the one that happened most recently in my head is what happened with the Bolt. That was a car that was designed mostly by LG. It was a vehicle that has a lot of components that LG has put in place. Yes, it was assembled in Orion, Michigan, but it had all of the stuff brought in from LG and assembled together to make it a quick turnaround for a new car.
And it's not uncommon. You look at the Ford Probe / Mazda MX-6, shared platform, not quite the same car, but very, very close. You look at the Mitsubishi 3000 GT / Dodge Stealth, but even look at the Geo Metro. I actually was talking with an engineer friend of mine in Michigan who said, I've got friends who are, dyed in the wool General Motors families, and they won't buy anything but a GM and also a Chevy Sprint. And it's like, a Chevy Sprint? Yeah, it's a GM. Is it? Because
is it really?
All the tools are metric on this car, so I'm a little curious how we get there. But this is not a crazy plan. This could absolutely work. I don't see why not. Something to think about. There are, of course, other concerns. Then we've got things like, as of March, Seagull price reduced to $10,000. So we were excited about $11,000, and now we're talking $10,000. This story broke just as our video was coming out, and it is true. Fact check true. They cut the price the most, so affordable. And mind you, the car only goes like 81 miles an hour, and I'm not sure I'd be comfortable even at that speed. So in places like Texas, this might be a little scary to drive. And I don't know, some of those exits are pretty far apart for a range as short as this one, but it's, for 10 grand for a real car with real seats and airbags and presumably crumple zones, but the benchmark will determine if they get there or not. It's amazing.
No, as we said in the original video, this is a purposely built vehicle. This is an entry market vehicle that is designed for around town, around the region, and it serves its purpose well. Many people in the comments actually commented about how they would love a second car that was just a roundabout car to help a family member drive to work or do a commute. That was a common theme that came up in the comments.
A lot of 2-car families have a small car and a big car. And if your big car can already do all your long drives, let the small car be doing your short drives. The only other time you'd need it is when the big car is in the shop. And this is a heck of a deal. There were some comments, some very angry comments talking about fires. Oh, the fires, the BYD fires. And I asked repeatedly, please show me statistics. And the only things they would give me were links to anti-China blogs or YouTube channels that would show anecdotes. They would show a fire with no context. One started by showing a car that wasn't a BYD explode and go 20 feet in the air. And they didn't call it an EV, they called it an NEV, which means it was a hydrogen tank, I guess, maybe. Batteries do not fail in that manner. That's not a thing. So yeah, they're going to burn. Now, what kind of chemistry does BYD use?
Yes, they use the cobalt non-batteries, the LFPs, correct?
They use exclusively LFPs, and LFPs are known for having fewer issues with thermal runaway. They're less fire prone of the various chemistries on the market used in the automotive sector. These cars are unlikely to burn full stop. And then you add to that the fact that comments like these, BYD equals house fire. And that's not the reality. In my digging, I found this person who posted, a very inflammatory post. And of course, this person graciously came back with the reality. Full of misinformation. Check everything before you read it. According to the Chinese Fire Ministry, even though the BYD is the most likely to burn, out of 86 fires, only 11 of them were BYD fires. They're selling a whole lot of cars. That means that an EV fire, even among these 75 other companies brands represented by these numbers here, the probably dozen other companies, they're still significantly less likely to burn than an internal combustion car. So there's this notion I kept seeing here and also on X and other social media that these cars are just dangerous and that China makes junk. Would you accept the premise that China makes garbage cars?
Not at this point in time. There
No.
was a time long ago when China was synopsis with junky manufacturing, but that time is long gone.
It's crazy to even bring these things up. And there's your iPhone is from China. A lot of the components in the car that you know and love today are from China. Polestar and Volvo make their cars for the US market in China and sell them here all the time. I was going to say every day, but I don't know if they sell that many. There were also comments I saw that were pretty buried. They got a lot of thumbs down, it looks like, because in my scrolling and your scrolling today when we were preparing for this show, I didn't see them, and I guess you didn't either. People were saying, this will never happen. BYD will never sell in the US because whoever the next president is, whether it's Biden or Trump or the rent is too damn high guy, they're all going to say the same thing, which is no to China cars, no way, not ever, not now, not on my watch. That's why we elect strong leaders. Well, the strong leaders we have and the ones that were proposed, these are the people who made these treaties that allow cars to be made in North America and qualify for US incentives. And we already have these cars on the road. They're already here. They're fine. We're not having big fires. We're not having big scares. We're not having big concerns. A question I would ask you is, are you worried that, putting BYD aside because they've got very aggressive pricing, are you worried that Chinese manufacturers would so undercut the market that they would destroy US auto manufacturing?
That certainly is something that worries me. Because I see this trend happening already in Europe. There are protection rights starting to rear their head in Europe about Chinese flooding the market, the European market. Again, it's unfounded at this point.
That's the thing, is the fears are present, but
Yep.
it hasn't materialized.
Hasn't happened yet. Yep. Or I say yet, maybe it will never materialize. These are things that people worry about just because it's unclear as to which way it may go.
And I think all of those are actually great points. The cars that are being shipped from China into Europe, MG, Aura, Great Wall, SAIC, BYD, they are not selling in big numbers. And it's because they're not a whole lot cheaper. Once you figure in the taxes, once you figure in the shipping costs, once you figure in the time in transit, which costs money, once you've paid for something and it's not sold, that costs you money. And having all the features, all the reliability, that's something that Western markets demand. And once you add those in, the cost savings you get from the 15% of the car that's built by actual humans instead of robots is no longer as big of a deal, because robots are paid the same everywhere on Earth. It's not like they have less expensive robots in China yet. They maybe that's a thing that's coming, but they haven't got it yet. So I'm not as worried about that. It's not because they're Chinese that they are likely to eat our lunch. It's because they are moving faster than us. They
Oh,
are,
that's definitely a fact. Yep.
yeah.
They
And
have been moving faster than us for a long time because they've consolidated on the EV movement a lot earlier than North America has ever dreamed about doing so.
I like that you had to add the qualifier "has dreamed of," because we still haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
And we haven't. We haven't. There are local initiatives here and there, but that are likely to come to pass, but they haven't. Not yet. Another concern on quality was, well, what am I going to do 3 years from now when my battery dies? There's in the US at least, federal law says you have to warranty the battery for 8 years, 100,000 miles.
As well as in Canada.
And so the same, and in California, I think it's 10, is it 8 years, 120 or 10?
It's
It
a
might
little
be,
longer.
it's a little longer. So BYD will not sell cars if they cannot honor the warranty. They just won't. It would put them out of business. They're not going to take a step that will put them out of business for short-term gain. It wouldn't make sense. They're going to lose money in the early days anyway. If the early days are all the sales they have, what's the point? So I think all of that is crazy. Guys, in the comments, what have we still missed or misunderstood? What should we actually be answering? Did I miss anything? Did I misunderstand something? You guys got to tell us, because in the video is where I hope to make you a little bit smarter, but in the comments is where you make me smarter and also make me pull out 4 of my remaining hair to try and explain that hatchbacks typically have windshield wipers in the back. But my Model Y doesn't have one. Of course not. It doesn't need one. It's a bar of soap. Water just rolls right off it. But your Honda Civic hatchback absolutely had one. Your Toyota Sienna had one. It's just the angle. It's just the shape of it. Let's not get hung up on something as minute of a detail as a rear windshield wipers presence on a vehicle that is never intended to be sold in the U.S. anyway. And it's just, we got to let it go. We got to move past it. Mark is with the Tesla Life. They do a live show every week. Everybody on the show has other things they do as well. There are other shows that come around, and it's a whole lot of fun. And what I like most about the Tesla Life is if you catch it live, the chat is typically pretty quiet. And if you have thoughts, if you have questions, if you have comments, ask them in the chat, and they often will respond. And if you have a really good joke, they'll laugh, but they will not read it. It depends on the joke. I've made a few that they were like, nope, nope, nope,
not doing
nope.
that one.
Not that one. Not that one, Brian. We appreciate you being here, but we'll save that for the Tesla Life After Dark. So guys, like, subscribe, all that stuff. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps other people find this video. If there are other questions from the other video, which will be linked below, well, we'll get to those. And, everybody else, stay tuned. Stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots, at one of the many events I go to, or, on the flippity flop.